In fact, the only person I will say knows his job very well is Duale. From the presentations of Duale, even when he was in defense, even when he was leader of majority, he brought 6 regulations which he had thoroughly researched, complied with the law completely. Yeah. The only functional CS in the whole government is the Honorable Duale. The rest, I'm sorry, they are not functional. Oh. So the problem may not be the CSS and the PSS. The problem is also elsewhere. But at the same time, we have a lot of incompetent PSS and CSS. In fact, the only person I will say knows his job very well is Duale. From the presentations of Duale, even when he was in defense, even when he was leader of majority, even now when he was in environment, he brought 6 regulations which he had thoroughly researched, complied with the law completely. A lot of PSS and CSS present to us material which is substandard, which is illegal. Then sometimes the government forces the House to pass. And that's what happened with Shah and She. That law is defective. As much as you put Duale there, the best expert Ruto can get, there is a big problem with Shah and She. You must tell us what happened to NHIF. We want Duale now to arrest the criminals in NHIF. Yeah. Whoever stole money from Kenyans is known and is living in this country. Okay. Prosecute them. The government has enough power to do so. Prosecute them and recover the money and bring it back to Kenyans. Now, Duale must also tell us how come as something costs 104 billion shillings. I am very sure that thing cannot cost even 50 million shillings. Okay. It is exaggerated. There was no, proper method. The law was never followed. As I told you, this government never followed the Constitution. Okay. The Constitution was never followed. The law in place was never followed. How did you procure this thing which is giving everybody a headache? You are collecting money from poor people and paying for a thing which no one knows what it is exactly or what's the real value. That value should be public knowledge. Yeah. And therefore, Honorable Duale has a lot of challenges. I want to tell you the problem was not Nakumija. The problem is not the current Levy CS, who is a medical doctor. Mm-hmm. In fact, we have so many experts in this country. Okay. It is even wrong for the Ministry of Health to be headed by a PS or a CS. At least one of them should have a background in the medical field. Yeah. So I believe Duale is up to task. Yeah. The only functional CS in the whole government is the Honorable Duale. The rest, I'm sorry, they are not functional. Okay. The problem with the Treasury is the PS Treasury. He's the most incompetent PS you have ever seen. I've been in Parliament for many years. I've interacted with his PSs. Every time you visit Treasury, you find him clueless. You find his team uncoordinated. You find them without information and unable to fund simple projects like Itwake Dam. Yeah. They just mismanage the country. So there is a bigger problem. Yeah. And that's why Raila Odinga is very important, just to hold, Ruto to cripple to 2027, because we conduct elections after 5 years. Then we can send him home and we can have a better country. We can reclaim our country.
If you look at this standard headline, Ruto's blue-eyed boy, talking about Duale, it's a very strategic appointment, because what is lacking in Ministry of Health is explanation. Somebody coming out to explain the universal health care. Somebody who is not timid, somebody who is strong, somebody who can. And Duale has the ability to explain himself, and that is what the president is looking at. You will hear many Kenyans talk about SHA, SHIF. If you ask them what is SHA, what is the difference between Social Health Authority, Social Health Act, what is the difference between SHIF and NHIF, what is the difference, what is universal, what is primary health care fund, what is critical emergency and chronic illness fund, what is infrastructure development fund. Many Kenyans still don't understand, and this is what is causing the confusion. Yeah. And therefore picking on Duale, Honorable Duale, as a minister in the ministry, is simply to have a person who can communicate, who can explain the position of government, because what we are lacking is people understanding what we are going through in the Ministry of Health. Okay. Otherwise, I think for Muturi, I don't think it was the president's wish to remove him, but given the decision he had taken to leave government, and therefore trying to provoke the president to ensure that he is removed to gain public sympathy, is exactly what he has done.
Our country is lost.
So, what is wrong? Is this an inclusion and an efficiency attempt or an attempt at political survival, the creation of the 7 new state departments?
Before I go to that,
Yeah.
he talked about Mbadi and Professor Ndung'u. We must appreciate Professor Ndung'u as a professor in matters economics and finance.